All right, haven't done this yet. You said you're going to take us, but this time of year, apple picking is at the top of the weekend to-do list. Thousands of families venture into the orchards. It's good to know that today starts National Cider Week.
It's one of my favorites, and it's one of the many benefits of apples, and there's plenty more that you might not know about apples. ABC's Bethany Owing has more.
Apples. There's more to them than meets the eye. With more than 70 million tons produced worldwide, it's one of the most valuable fruits here in the U.S. And they don't just keep the doctor away, they keep that waistline down. A new study published by Science Direct says apples promote a friendly gut bacteria, which stabilizes the metabolism and makes you feel full.
They stimulate the right microflora in your system that actually help you to stay thin.
Apple connoisseur and author of Apples of Uncommon Character, Rowan Jacobson, says apples are coming back in a big way.
It's kind of a second golden age of the apple. People are paying a lot more attention to where their food's coming from, and they're looking for an interesting character in their food.
Jacobson has profiled some 123 apple heirlooms.
We're seeing apples that are better than we've seen in decades.
Introducing new Johnny Appleseed Hard Apple Cider.
Apples were the favorite tickle in America for about 200 years.
In the 1700s, your best bet for getting drunk was apples. And we're kind of rediscovering that purpose of apples.
Speaking of rediscovering, we're at the Dykeman Farmhouse in New York City, where we're going to learn how to make apple cider. Come on, let's go. It's a little hard to walk. I don't recommend coming in heels. Hi. The 200-year-old farmhouse gave a glimpse into what life was like.
It's hard to think about Manhattan and farming. Those two things don't seem to go together. But that would have been the way of life for quite a few people.
New York was the premier producer of cider in the 1800s.
Their cider press would have been over there. They would have had a barn and a stable.
There were miles and miles of orchards here. They were burned to the ground during the Revolutionary War. Manhattan was occupied nearly the entire war by the British, staying in military huts like these.
What we're doing here is we're crushing the apple.
They were just in time for their annual apple pressing.
I'm making apple cider.
The result?
That is some good apple juice.
So I don't need an apple today.
Every year fall rolls around and you have your apple traditions, and it's just a really nice touchstone.
It's like the perfect little apple.
It kind of helps give a rhythm to life.
And a recent scientific study found that in addition to all those health benefits, apples are also an aphrodisiac. Participants who consumed 1 or 2 apples each day had increased sexual satisfaction. The researchers linked the antioxidants to increase blood flow. And well, you guys can put together the rest.
Who knew? They say it keeps the doctor away, but there are a lot of benefits. And the cider we're looking at, is it only at a certain time of year people think, okay, it's apple cider time? Is it just during the holidays?
Well, usually Thanksgiving, my family is serving apple cider, but cider is making a comeback, like the hard cider, because this is a very crafted, people are brewing these at very high levels. You have everything from your dry cider, like a fine wine, to your more tart cider, something sweet. And, this one's made from an apple called Redfield, which is a very rare apple. So these apples are coming from, apples that we haven't heard or seen in a very long time.
And this isn't cheap. If you're going to have this at your Thanksgiving table, it's going to cost you some, huh?
But I'm sure all your family will love you for it.
It is a good twist, besides a white or red,
Serving
right?
wine,
Or beer.
And it's not your wine cooler of 2014. So it's cute.
Well, thank you for this. You're right. A lot we didn't know. When I first read the teas and said you're going to learn something about apples, I said, well,
You were
probably
skeptical.
not. I was skeptical.
As always.
I learned a lot about apples in this. Thank you so much.
Coming up, we'll see what's hitting the theaters this weekend. Stay tuned.